I will be dealing with a slightly different, little more challenging, I felt, topic. But taking a cue from what Alokji has said and what Dr. Shruti has said, I will use all of that data to extend some of the information that I'll be dealing with here. I've taken the topic, the spiritual character of Indian history, primarily because we are able to see spirituality in the various aspects of Indian culture that are easier to see. When we go to a temple, there is a spiritual connection already there. When we look at some statue, the aesthetics convey something spiritual to us. When we look at yoga, it has an entire spiritual philosophy behind it. But when we look at certain outward experiences or outward manifestations of what India has manifested through centuries, there it becomes slightly tricky to really understand, was this or can this be seen as something that manifests of the inner spiritual growth that this culture has in it since long centuries. I'll take most of the content from Chando's The Renaissance in India, which was earlier titled as The Foundations of Indian Culture, and I'll explain certain aspects of those texts in context with Indian history, particularly ancient Indian history. So we have this central idea that Indian culture has always seen as the dominating one, which it wanted to follow always, and in multiple aspects like arts, architecture, philosophy, yoga, it has explicitly manifested itself. So the master idea, as Aurobindo says, has governed the life, culture, social ideas of the Indian people, which has been the seeking of man for his true spiritual self and the use of life. But of course, we have a lot of coins, we have a lot of seals, we have a lot of inscriptions, and the earliest evidence, earliest reference of Yodhya, the republican tribe, comes from Panini's Vyakaran, which is in 6th century BCE. And some of the last references of Yodhya's, very concrete references, come from around 5th century inscription of Samudragupta in Prayag Prashasti, where he says that he had to again suppress this strong uprising of the Yodhyas. So 1200 years, a republican state has lasted undoubtedly. This is the republican character of Indian history. This is the point of Yodhya. Again, you have very explicitly representation of Shaivism in the Yodhya. Again, we have, that's again another line, but I would like to mention it here that the earliest representation of Kartikeya, a proper representation in iconographic form, comes from the Yodhya's coins. Going forward, again, when we talk of politics, what is most important is to understand whether king is really a spiritual person or not, whether he has or he thinks that spirituality can be the goal of his kingdom or his rule or his policy making or his administration. Only then it can percolate down to the people, it can percolate down to his offices. Aurobindo says the king was only the guardian, the executor, and servant of the dharma. And this, I think, we all agree with. Although we never really managed to bridge how the actual execution of that happened from what we see in the text. The king was charged to see to its observance and to prevent offenses, serious irregularities, and breaches. He himself was bound, this is most important what I find here, he himself was bound the first to obey it and observe the rigorous rule it laid on his personal life and action, and on the province, powers, and duties of his regal authoritative office. This is something that we can continuously see in almost every king that has successfully ruled. I'm not talking of short-lived kings, I'm talking of the kings who have ruled successfully, and one example of this is coming from the first emperor of Indian subcontinent, that is Ashoka, in one of his in the major rock edicts. That's some of the inscriptions we've seen inscriptions today. So some of the early inscriptions that we have across the country, spread in a very vast region of the subcontinent, going all the way from Bihar till Afghanistan, from Uttarakhand till Karnataka, and a portion of the first edict says, we know that Ashoka had tendency to lean towards Buddhism, which is a heterodox sect, primarily promoting non-violence. And this is the example where he had to first follow it himself before telling it to others. I quote from the Rock Edict 1. Formerly in the kitchen of the beloved of gods, that is what he calls himself, Devanam Priyadarshi, beloved of gods, King Priyadarshi, many hundred thousands of animals were killed every day in the royal kitchen for the sake of curry. But now, when the dharma stripped, again, the dharma that historians are seeing of Ashoka is a little different than the vast definition I want you to understand of dharma, but still. But now, when this dharma script is written, only 3 animals, you see the cut down from thousands, 3 animals are being killed every day for the sake of curry. 2 peacocks, 1 deer, 2 mora, eko brigo. And the deer again, not always. Even these 3 animals shall not be killed in future. He is promising. And a king promising in return, we should take it seriously because everybody is reading it. The next few generations are going to say, what happened to your promise? When in the end of political tenure, when the elections are coming up, we ask, what did you do really? This was your agenda, this was your policy, this is what you had promised. Yes. Going forward, we have a very interesting, again, topic that Shivinda touches upon here, which is something that has been disturbing the whole political scenario for our country even today, secularism. Again, I'm not trying to say anything of secularism in here, but we can get some colors of that into this. I quote, the monarch might personally favor a personal sect or creed, and his active preference might evidently have a considerable propagandist influence, but at the same time, he was bound to respect and support in his public office all the recognized religions of the people with a certain measure of impartiality. A rule that explains the support extended by Buddhist and Brahmin emperors to both the rival religions. This is very important, and this was seen something in as early as we had polity at all. A systematic, standardized polity. We see it right from then. And we have examples of multiple kings, even Ashoka, throughout his humility, what all his edicts are, he goes on saying that you have to respect the other person's religion, other person's sect, other person's creed. And he even goes as far as that the best policy to behave in public is stay shut. Don't praise yours, don't criticize others. I don't think we can simplify secularism more than this. So we have Chandragupta Maurya, who we know had turned Jaina by the end of his career and renounced everything, gone off to Karnataka to do his tapasya. While there was no effect of Jainism on Mauryan Empire, we have another king who was not a native Indian, Kanishka. He was his origin goes to the Chinese tribals around the region of Mongolia, Central Asia. Traveling down, finally reaching India, they established themselves called Kushanas. They have a long lasting Kushana Empire after the Mauryan Empire and before the Gupta Empire. And here is this king was the closest we can come to the character of Indian polity, the spiritual character of Indian polity. And this is the inscription which was found in Afghanistan, of course, not as we see India today, but still a people who are not native Indians, who came to India, who ruled, and they became Indian. The Kushanas are the ones who can truly be said that they turned quite into the Indian mindset. and they ruled with the Indian mindset. They ruled the people according to the people. We have the Rabatak inscription which mentions of what is Uma. They have nothing to do with Indian culture. 4 generations ago, they didn't know where India was probably. But they, in an inscription in Afghanistan, he is talking of the gods and goddesses of Iran, because that is very close to the Iranian empire there. But he has a strong influence of the Indian ethos. He is mentioning of Shiva. His coins have Shiva, Nandi, Uma, Buddha, Bodo, all of that put together. And some historians have, of course, said to bring about the social harmony and all of that. But how many kings outside of India? How many, there were Chinese travelers like Hans who went to Rome, who went to southern Europe, They didn't do this. Why someone who came to India felt that this needs to be done? Because it was there in the character of Indian ethos. It was required if you want to last, if you want to be successful. Then we have Chandragupta II Vikramaditya was associated with Ujjain. You have this Vetal Pachisi stories and all that, where we have a strong inclination towards Vaishnavism, but in spite of everything, all of the heritage we see throughout the empire, be it of Ashoka, be it of the Guptas, be it of the Kanish, of the Kushanas, there is this sense of keeping something else ahead and then moving behind it. The foundational aims of the empire were not superficial. We see that. And there is this sense of not letting your personal interest, your personal inclination towards a given religion affect the largest. It doesn't become a dictum. It doesn't become a state religion. We never had a state religion. There was never a necessity. There was never a need for it, and no one wanted it. No one imposed it. No one expected it. So that continues to be. We have during the time of Chandragupta II Vikramaditya, Buddhist pilgrimism went on. Otherwise, if you have a very strong Buddha empire is criticized by several historians as strong Hindu, or sometimes they even go forward with Hindutva-vadi empire. But then Buddhist monks would be afraid to come here. Fahim was someone who came around that time and fearlessly roamed around the entire Gupta empire, praised the Gupta empire for its governance, the equanimity in the society, the people living so prosperously. Although a lot of Indian historians have said that this was the dark age of Indian history. Then we have an inscription of Kumaragupta, who was one of the successors of Chandragupta II Vikramaditya. Surprisingly enough for a Western mind, that Kumaragupta, who was, again, the name such as Kumar is a Shaivite person, but the inscription is on a Buddhist statue. So I don't know if we need to relate it to secularism at all, but yes, there was not even a question of intolerance or tolerance. It's not about tolerance. It's about that something else is leading the polity in front. It's not thought through the mind. Then we have, in the sphere of administration, the power of the king was similarly hedged in by the standing constitution of the dharma. Again, if you do not follow the dharma, you might not say that I'm following dharma, but you are following dharma. The king had to follow the dharma. And dharma did not belong to any given religion or a creed or a sect. It was a concept. It was going forward together. And individual can follow whatever beliefs, even atheism. By the general rule that his right to govern was subject to the satisfaction and goodwill of the people, there could be ordinarily little or no room in the ancient Indian system for autocratic freak or monarchical violence and oppression, much less for the savage cruelty and tyranny. And this, if ever had happened, the king was thrown down. And one earliest example we have is that of the Dhanananda of the Magadhan Empire, that he was pulled down and finally Chandragupta Maurya was ascended to the throne. Keeping it very brief, I thank Sri Aurobindo Society, I thank Ministry of Tourism for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.